Okay, call the meeting to order at 6:02 of the Southwick Granville Regional School Committee meeting. Tonight, if you'd like to make a public comment, there are two opportunities on the agenda. If you wish to make a public comment, please submit an email to superintendent@stgrsd.org. Please include your name and your home address in the content of the email, and we will read the public comment. Okay. In your packets, you should have a secretary's report dated March 16th, 2021. I'll entertain a motion to accept those meeting minutes.
So moved.
I second.
Questions or comments or changes needed for the secretary's report? Hearing none, we will do a roll call vote. Pam?
Yes.
Chelsea?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
And Jeff is a yes. Motion passes 6-0-0. Okay, warrant articles have been emailed. Please make sure you check your school account and approve and return the warrants to the main office. Any correspondence?
We have none tonight, Chairman Houle.
It's time for our first public comment. So I'll ask Amy to check the superintendent account.
Chairman Houle, I have no public comments in the superintendent's account.
All right, moving on to the student advisory report.
Good evening. This is Annette St. Jacques reporting tonight. Term 3 grades are closing on April 9th. The 2021-2022 school year scheduling is still happening. If students haven't completed it, talk to your counselor. Senior Adam Smith, sophomore Marissa Coviello, and myself will be attending the MASC State Conference on behalf of SRS Student Council on April 9th and 10th. The three of us will attend and meet with other schools, students' councils to discuss leadership and other ways to engage students. I will follow up with that after I attend. For SRS staff, the Emerald Shield nomination forms were sent out this week. SRS's National Honor Society continues tutoring for the younger grades. If you have a student in the STGRSD district in need of help, please reach out to a counselor and ask for it. For juniors, Richard Atkinson, Striving for Excellence Scholarship is due tomorrow. All applicants must have their submissions postmarked with no date later than March 31st. Parents and siblings are now allowed to spectate home sports games. Lastly, I wanted to talk about the Connections Conference that I attended on March 24th. SRS students and teachers had the opportunity to choose between a varied selection of workshops, all dealing with social justice. As it was a productive day, the students and teachers had fun learning from Sutton High School as they work with these topics into their curriculums. From this conference, Vice Principal Mr. Pescatellius hopes to engage in a student-run advisory inspired by what the attendees learned and their hopes to make Southwick a better place for all. As we all know, education is power. The future student-run advisory will help shape the leaders of tomorrow. If you have any questions, you may ask now, and that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Any questions for the student advisor? Okay, moving on to educational presentations. Up first, Principal Tamel from the regional school is going to discuss senior activities.
Yes, thank you for having me, Mr. Houle. With me tonight is Adam Smith, president of the senior class and president of our student council. We are here to present senior week events. A lot of hard work and collaboration from Mrs. Hall and Mr. Grant, the student council advisors, along with Mrs. Penland and Mrs. Slate, the class advisors, and the junior and senior class officers as well have worked rather hard over the last few months to put something together for senior week. As you're aware, last year, all the seniors were able to have was graduation in July. So we're looking to work with the CDC guidelines, school policies right now to put together a senior week that is safe and enjoyable for the senior class who has lost so much this school year already. The cornerstone, the baseline for senior week obviously is graduation, and we were able to build off of the success of graduation from last year, having the 4 tents, having it outside, following. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Having the following the social distancing and the guidelines, we had a great senior graduation, and so we're looking to build off of that as well. So I'm going to present the 2 formal events of senior week, and then turn it over to Adam to present the more informal events of senior week. Wednesday, June 9th would be our award ceremony. We have rented 4 tents from Wednesday afternoon, June 9th through Saturday afternoon, June 12th. And so on Wednesday, June 9th, we'd like to hold an award ceremony. We did it virtually last year, held under the tents at night. Graduates and 6 guests would be allowed. And at this event, we would recognize the student scholarships, the Emerald Shield winners, awards, yearbook sweatshirts, senior video if possible, but somehow to replicate what we used to do in the gymnasium, where students received their scholarships and awards in front of the students and their families. Look to hold that Wednesday nights, and replicating an award ceremony. We're looking to leave Friday, June 11th open as a rain date, and that is for obviously graduation, which will be on June 12th, but also for prom on the 10th and the award ceremony on the 9th. All these events we're looking to be held outside, and so we feel that having one night with a rain date would give us some opportunity to reschedule events during that week. Saturday, June 12th is graduation. It would be 10 o'clock outside on the field where it's been for the last few years. As I said earlier, we had a great day last year in July with our graduation. We would follow that similar format. Guidance has come out from the commissioner's office about what we can do. It can be held under tents if the tents do not have sides to them. 6 guests are allowed per graduate. We can put the 6 desks or chairs together. I'm sorry, chairs together under the tents if they live in the same household. Social distancing rules would be required. Diplomas on the chairs, just like last year, they're asking us to limit contact. Mask would have to be part of the ceremony as well. And I believe last year we did it in about 55 minutes. And if we stuck to the same script, that would fall into the guidelines that CDC and the commissioner's office is putting forward on graduations. Before I turn it over to Adam, any questions on award ceremony or graduation on Wednesday and Saturday of senior week?
Joe, this is Jeff. One question.
Sure.
The state changes their guidance as,
Yeah.
continues to progress to relax things. I'm assuming we're just going to continue to follow suit.
If the guidelines changed?
Yes.
We would. Yes, it's a good point. These guidelines that we're presenting are based on the information that we have available and in front of us now. If things were to open up, or if unfortunately we needed to be more confined in what we could do, then we would have to follow that. But hoping that we're on the right path to being able to hold these events outside with 6 guests, following the guidelines and the protocols that we had in place last year.
How many guests were students allowed last year?
Last year there was I believe we had 4, because we were able to hold it outside. We were able to have 4 guests outside under the tents.
Any other questions for Principal Tamel?
Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Adam. 30 seconds as we practice our own social distancing here. Go ahead, buddy.
Hello, everyone. I'm Adam. Thank you for having me. I'm going to be going over the more informal events for this senior week. And we kind of switched it up from previous years, obviously. We had to get more creative with kind of changing up the typical events that we have. And so the first one we have, it's called Senior Carnival. Pretty much what it'll consist of, it's going to be Monday, June 8th at the bottom of the high school hill. We haven't decided on a specific time yet. And what we're looking to do, just have a nice open space where people can go out. We got like wiffle ball, volleyball, badminton, potentially inflatables, stuff like that. And with these two events, with this and prom, we're looking at venues, but obviously with everything going on and whether guidelines are opening up or if they're getting more confined, like Mr. Jamel said, we just decided to go with the most straightforward option and just have it at the high school. And that's been working really well with the collaboration with the other classes. So we're looking to have it at the high school. And again, potentially possibly having a food truck or something, a simple eating arrangement. And that's all contingent on what the guidelines are at the time. And just a nice area people can go do their thing, but simultaneously kind of get together as a class. In a year where it's been obviously pretty tough. And that's kind of pretty much the synopsis and all that. And then if anyone had any questions about it.
So my concern is just, in the more informal events, how, we could maintain the required social distancing. I can see that being a challenge at prom. I can see that being a challenge with an obstacle course and inflatables and things like that. And I know if anybody can do it, this district can, because you really impressed me this year. Last year's graduation was amazing. But I know from experience that, structured settings, it's a lot easier to keep students distance than unstructured settings. And I'm just curious to hear what you guys are thinking in terms of the carnival and prom with regard to social distancing.
Yeah, so with prom, we've looked at a couple different scenarios.
I can't hear you, Joe.
Oh, I'm sorry. With prom, we've looked at a couple different scenarios. One of them being that if we have the 4 tents arranged, that we would assign groups of students to each of the 4 tents, where they can gather under the tents, dance under those tents, practicing the social distance guidelines. But that is one of the ways where we could contact trace during prom, is if we had, I think we have about 105 graduates, if we put approximately 25, 26 students under each tent, to do it that way. With the events that during the Tuesday events, again, we would have to probably put the students in groups and be able to contact trace, the close contact trace with the students in the different events through the groups throughout the day.
And just as Superintendent Willard, I just want to reiterate, we are going to be getting prom guidance from the state, as they tell us a lot in the upcoming weeks. But as Principal Trammell said, we will adjust with the best guidance that we have at the time.
We follow the same protocols as we do with the classrooms as well. Sanitizing the surfaces that are being used by students in between events, things like that. I know Mr. Wykander has been great about supporting the teachers and the students in their activities thus far. And I know him and his crew would do the same for the senior class as well.
I have a quick question, just to make sure this is only a senior prom, no juniors this year.
Yeah, at this time, Annette, we believe that the 100 people outside under the tents for prom is what we would look to move forward with. That it would just be a senior prom.
Yeah, thanks. That makes sense. A lot of people have been curious.
Mm-hmm. And the thought behind that as well is that these seniors did not have a prom last year. And so we wanted to give them one this year, and that the junior class, not having a prom this year, would get one hopefully next year.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, move on to the next item. Thank you, Mr. Jamal.
Thank you for having us.
Up next is the calendar 2021, Superintendent Willard.
Hi, I will be super brief. I mentioned at the past two school committee members, there was the potential of changing the calendar. After meeting with the union and looking at structured time on learning, we are going to be eliminating the half-day Wednesdays moving forward. The only half day that we will have for the remainder of the school year will be the last day of school. So Wednesdays are returning to full school days, and even remote students will be attending school for the full day. The other change to the calendar, and one we've been waiting to get a legal opinion on, is Juneteenth. This year it falls on a Saturday. We can celebrate it this year on the Saturday, so we do not have to make any adjustments to our calendar. But you will see in next year's calendar that Juneteenth falls on a Sunday, so we would have to celebrate it on the upcoming Monday. But this year we do not need to make a change to our calendar. And those are all the changes.
Okay. Questions for Superintendent Willard on the calendar? Okay, up next is the FY22 capital plan. Director of Finance and Operations, Mr. Fresno.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What we've prepared for you today is just a kind of an update to the capital improvement needs slide that we had presented to the school committee and to the public at the public budget hearing. Also shared this with the towns, particularly Southwick, which held its own budget session a couple of weeks, well, actually about a week ago. So the only change here is, and this comes as a result of some discussions that Mr. Wykander and I had, and then a meeting with Chairman Houle, our Building and Grounds subcommittee. The only change here is the removal of the replacement of the utility truck. We're opting to defer that for another year. We think we can get by this year with the existing truck and possibly look at replacing that in FY23. We did, however, use those funds to expand the scope and deal with anticipated cost increases for replacing the main entry concrete and sidewalks at Woodland School. We had notified the finance subcommittee last week that we were looking to move in this direction. Basically, the amount that was provided in fiscal 21, so this time last year, the committee went forward with a $40,000 allocation for replacement of the main entry area at Woodland School. We were unable, just dealing with all of the COVID-related planning, to pull that off last summer. In the meantime, we've noticed additional deterioration of the sidewalk area adjacent to that. So we would like to expand the scope to try to get a finished product, uniform surface at Woodland. However, this does we're anticipating we would be over the threshold. So even with doing the original scope, we're fearful we might be over the original or the threshold required to do a more significant procurement process. So if we're going to go down that route with a full-blown procurement with sealed bids under Chapter 39M, I believe it is, with advertised bids and placement in central register and combis and getting bid deposits, we felt it would made a lot of sense to expand the scope, do all of it, and utilize the funding from the utility truck replacement toward that. We also have, for contingency purposes, we've got some funds remaining unspent bond proceeds from the school building project that would work nicely to help as a funding source for this project. So we're still at the $385,000 that we had presented previously, $100,000 for network technology upgrades and replacements, the additional $35,000 toward the Woodland sidewalk replacement project, the Powder Mill School or the Powder Mill Road and Powder Mill School paving replacement. That lot is in serious disrepair, so we need to do something with that. The gymnasium improvements at SRS, including resanding the floor down to the bare wood, repainting lines, finishing replacement of the number of the seats, and reworking the logo on those seats, and upgrades to the audio system there. Also the $30,000 for the supplemental heating in the high school or SRS vestibule, and then the grounds maintenance equipment, 3 or 4 items there for $20,000. And that's what we would like you to vote on this evening. Just wanted to bring you up to speed on what the changes were in advance of taking up that motion. Did anybody have any questions on this? Thank you.
Okay, moving on to policies. We have first readings tonight. We're going to go one by one, and I'm going to ask the policy subcommittee to just give a brief overview of what's going on here. So up first, we have the first reading of IGA, which is curriculum development. It's like one small change. Chelsea, do you have any input?
Yeah, so the way things work currently is that curriculum goes through the ILT or the instructional leadership team process, which ends up involving a community member, a parent, leaders from the schools, administrators from the schools, and pulling in kind of who really needs to be involved in a process, like if it's elementary math, pulling in the elementary team, or if it's a high school history curriculum that we're looking at, then high school history teachers and also administrators will be pulled in. And so this just kind of nods to that current practice of the district curriculum and instruction team and the instructional leadership team process.
Any questions on IGA? Okay, moving on to the next one is IGD, which is curriculum adoption.
This also nods to that curriculum, same in curriculum and instructional team that will design and implement instructional programs. The superintendent has the authority to recommend new programs and courses of study after the process has been through. So, and then the committee, our role in it is to just be informed of these new courses, revisions through our involvement in the instructional leadership team. As you know, we have members attend those meetings and report out. And so we stay up to date on kind of anything new through that process and involvement. And also adoption of curriculum kind of comes in through accepting reports from these, the program of studies and things like that that come across our desk.
Okay, any questions on IGD?
So Chelsea, I'm just curious why these two are separate and why they're not combined together into one policy since they're so similar.
These are based off of the mask policies, and then this one is curriculum adoption, and then the other one is development, right? If we could, sorry.
Right, yes.
Very similar, very interlaced, but there was two different policies.
With the Mass General Law on both of those at the bottom.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, moving on to JB, which is equal educational opportunities.
This is just a lovely policy that says, and I'm going to read a piece of it, in recognition of the diversified characteristics and needs of our students, and with the sincere desire to be responsive to them, the school committee will make every effort to protect the dignity of the students as individuals, offering careful consideration and understanding of personal feelings with reference to race, color, sex, gender identity, religion, national origin, sexual orientation, homeless status, physical and intellectual differences, pregnancy or pregnancy-related conditions. And so the spirit is that we will make every effort to comply with equal educational laws and providing opportunities and prohibiting discrimination.
Any questions on policy JB?
Do we have, is this a new one?
Yes, we didn't have this, I don't think. No, this is new. And MASC just updated it February 2019.
Any other questions on policy JB? Okay, last up, we have policy JBB, which is educational equity.
And so I think the part that I really zoomed in on this policy was kind of defining educational equity as providing all students as reasonably practical the high quality instruction and support they need to reach and exceed a common standard. And so that systemically, we're going to pay attention to making sure that data is disaggregated in different ways so we can look at that, and that we're trying to raise the achievement of all students. We're trying to graduate all students, provide all students with high access or with access to high quality curriculum, things we're already doing, but defining that equity and kind of setting goals also for the district. And that this also ties in the superintendent with making sure that equity practices are in the strategic plan and goals for the district.
When are these goals going to be published?
I think they're underway. Oh, go ahead.
So we are going to include them over the summer work with our building principals and add them into the district strategic plan.
And also, doesn't equity mean what do we do with students? No, it's all students aren't born equal. Let's put it that way. And how you're going to adjust this to meet those students' needs.
So the difference between equality and equity is giving students what they need at that time instead of giving everybody the same thing. So a lot of the work that they're doing up at the high school level with the UDL is about universal design for learning. Sorry, using a educational acronym, is one of our steps that we're making as a district that we've been working on for years to provide equity so that all students can have accommodations so that they have access to our curriculum. We are going to start the MTSS project, MTSS process in our school district where we're going to be identifying students who are in need of tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 supports and give them quick, intensive interventions and relook at them. So a lot of the stuff that we're doing is already tied in to this goal, but it's really making sure that everybody, they call it DIBS, that it's diversity, inclusion, and belonging, and making sure that we are a welcoming and inclusive environment and that everyone belongs in our environment. So no matter how you learn, everybody will have equal access to the curriculum and they will meet success.
So how we've been hearing about the universal design, how they're designing lessons to try to meet everybody in the classroom all at once, or the reading and math interventionists that they're putting at the Woodland and Powder Mill, those are kind of working into helping make sure everybody gets high quality education that's tailored a little bit to what they need. In addition, so things are already underway, Ted.
Yeah, well, how are you going to achieve this, let's say in a community like Tolland? You know, the Tolland kids.
So when the Tolland child comes down the hill, if they need reading, they get reading. If they need help getting caught up in math, they'll get some kind of specialized math services or really good instruction right in the regular classroom. And then there's
they're coming down with a handicap already where we don't have the proper, let's say, network, you know, to take advantage of.
I'll give you an example, Ted. So our students in Tolland, when we went remote this year, equality would have been giving everybody a laptop and giving everybody a hotspot. What equity was saying, who needs this hotspot? And for a lot of our students, it was our students who do live in Tolland and West Granville. And that's what equity is. It's giving people what they need at the time so that everybody has equal access to the curriculum.
Well, just having access doesn't mean that, you know, knowing kids doesn't mean, you know, you can put it there, but how are you going to follow up and make sure that they're really using it at a, let's say, a good level? I mean, just giving it to them doesn't help.
Are you referring to the assessment and the data that they're looking forward to capturing and reporting on?
No, I'm just looking at knowing students, you know, that they're going to fight you all the way and look for ways out. And if you're not sort of, let's say, standing over them, and I don't even want to make that, that's probably too broad, but you know, there's a lot of students that are going to fall off the back.
The goal is to try to reach those students so they don't fall off. And so Ted, are you worried about this policy as it's written, or are you just looking forward to seeing how we follow through with it?
Well, the way it's written, you know, it sounds really nice and pie in the sky, but I'm not sure if it can be implemented.
It has to be, I think.
Huh?
I think it has to be.
So these are the cornerstone goals of education, Ted. And, you know, when a teacher becomes a teacher, must believe in these things and do the very best job they can to make these things work. And, you know, you're right, you're always fighting an uphill battle, but that's the job of being a teacher. And you do the very best job that you can to provide the best learning experience for all students. And equity is the key word here.
That's the word that scares me. I don't see how you can, and then you get, I go back to my day when, me as a student, I would fight the school system hand over fist. And my parents, were very strict as far as making sure that, I towed the line and everything else, but I fought it. And
I think for students like you, Ted, it might make a difference to have a good relationship and with a teacher or with someone at the school. And I think that we've been hearing a lot about how relationship building and community, even we've written inclusive culture and belonging need to be kind of at the center of a lot of this work, so that you're not fighting and that you're working together.
Yeah, but what happens to the student that just doesn't, let's say, connect with the teacher? For instance, in my case, I'll give you one example, and even my son is the same way. English was not our favorite subjects, and we fought that. I fought it constantly. My son fought it constantly. I was, sort of beating him over the head, trying to get him to, get better grades, and he just never did, and I never did. If you looked at my high school grades, you think I was a failure.
So I'm just going to interject, Ted. So I think what you're referring to is when we used to have what they call the sage on the stage, where the teacher would stand up in front of the classroom and present things one way. And it was the expectation that if it was presented, that the students learned it. Our teachers now are teaching is one of those professions that has changed magnificently over the course of time. Teachers don't look at things, and that's really what UDL is. They don't look at just presenting it one way. They look at multiple ways to present it to reach all children in their classroom. It's not about just presenting the material, it's about teaching the material and having kids master the content. It was a big shift in education that has taken probably 20 years to really move towards the shift from grading to mastery of content. But what you're actually talking about is a promotion of equity, so that students who don't learn the same way and students who push back get the supports that they do need in the classroom in order to master the curriculum.
We have enough resources for that?
Our teachers are doing a lot of it now already, and that's part of what the MTSS that you're going to be hearing a lot more about, that we were underway with, but then COVID hit. And I think Jenny Sullivan is on here as well, and she can speak to it much more eloquently than I can, because she and Robin have been working on it for the past few months. But our teachers do teach with equity in mind. It is the foundation, as Pam just said, of teaching now, teaching and learning. It's not about presenting the material and putting the onus on the students. It's about the teachers pulling kids over to the teacher table if they haven't mastered something, spiraling back, reteaching it to a small group of students, using data to drive instruction. That's equity, is making sure that our students, no matter who they are, no matter what their learning style is, that they have access to our curriculum.
Okay, at this point, I think there's been some good dialogue this evening. This is only a first reading.
Yeah, I understand.
And if there's some other specifics that we didn't get to, I suggest maybe we email the subcommittee with questions or concerns, and they can take a look at it before our next reading. All right, let's see, moving on to action items.
Okay, move to approve the 2020-2021 district calendar revision 6.0 recommended.
Sorry, finding my unmute button. So moved.
I second.
Okay, any questions on the changes to the 2021 district calendar? Okay, we're going to do a roll call vote to accept the changes to the calendar. Pam?
Yes.
Chelsea?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
John? John?
Yes.
Jeff is a yes. Motion passes 5-0-0. Amy, can you just see if we lost John by any chance?
Yeah, I'll send him a text and check with him.
Okay, thank you.
Move to approve the FY 2022 Southwick Talon Granville Regional School District assessment ratios to the member towns as follows. Operating assessment ratios, Southwick 84.73%, Talon 3.15%, Granville 12.12% for a total of 100%. Capital assessment ratios 83.11%, Talon 3.69%, Granville 13.20% for a total of 100% recommended.
So moved.
I second.
Okay, any questions on the assessment ratios? All right, hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Pam? Pam?
Rose.
Sorry, guys, my connection is not 100% stable. I don't know if you did roll call yet.
Yeah, well, it just started with you.
Okay, all right, well then, yes.
Chelsea?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
John? Ryan?
Yes.
And Jeff is a yes. Motion passes 5-0-0.
Move to approve the Southwick Talon Granville Regional School District FY 2022 budget in the amount of $25,822,130 recommended.
So moved.
I second.
Any questions on the total budget amount? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Pam?
Yes.
Chelsea?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
And Jeff is a yes.
John's here. I vote yes.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, John.
No worries. Sorry, I lost connection there for a minute.
Okay, so the motion passes 6-0-0.
Move to approve the FY 2022 Southwick Talon Granville Regional School District assessments to the member towns as follows. Operating assessment, Southwick 84.73%, $742,712. Tolland 3.15%, $27,612. Granville 12.12% for $106,239. Capital assessment for Southwick, 83.11%, $1,649,577. Tolland, 3.69%, $73,240. Granville, 13.20% for $261,996. Minimum contribution in Southwick in the amount of $9,078,342. Talon, $391,281. Granville, $1,469,462. Discretionary charges for Southwick, 84.73%, but we do not have any, $0. Talon, 3.15%, $0. Granville, 12.12%, $0. Non-discretionary district services to the town for Southwick, $12,000, Tolland, $0, Granville, $0, for a total assessment to Southwick of $11,482,631, for Tolland, $492,132, and Granville, $1,837,696 recommended.
So moved.
I second.
Okay, any questions on the assessment values to the member towns? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Pam?
Yes.
Chelsea?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
And Jeff is a yes. Motion passes 6-0-0.
Move to approve the authorization to incur debt by the issuance and sale of bonds or notes up to the amount of $385,000 for the purchase of all items specified in the STGRSD FY 2022 Capital Improvement Plan as follows. Technology, Phase 2 of upgrade of fiber optic network, replace network switches and replace configuration server, $100,000. Building improvements, install supplemental heating in main entry vestibule at Southwick Regional School, $30,000. Gymnasium renovations at Southwick Regional School to include gym floor, seating replacement, and audio control system, $50,000 for a total of $80,000. Grounds equipment, field maintenance equipment package, $20,000. Grounds improvement, replace the main entry concrete and sidewalks at Woodland School. Supplement amount approved for FY 21, $35,000. Install new paving at Powder Mill Road parking lot, $150,000 for a total of $185,000 for grounds improvement. For a total proposed improvements and acquisitions, $385,000 recommended.
Sorry, I'm having trouble with my unmute button here. So moved.
I second the motion.
Okay, any questions on the fiscal year 22 capital improvement plan? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Pam?
Yes.
Chelsea?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
And Jeff is a yes. Motion passes 6-0-0.
Move to modify the MIIA Health Benefits Trust Plan offerings through the addition of the Blue Cross Blue Shield Access Blue Saver High Deductible Plan and the elimination of the Blue Care Elect Preferred Value Plus Plan effective July 1st, 2021, recommended.
So moved.
I second.
Any questions on the motion to change the medical plan offerings? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Pam?
Yes.
Chelsea?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
And Jeff is a yes. Motion passes 6-0-0.
Move to accept the proposal from MIIA or Maya Health Benefits Trust to add the Blue 2020 Exam Plus Vision Care Program effective July 1st, 2021 for eligible active employees and retirees, recommended.
So moved.
I second.
Any questions about adding the vision care program? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Pam?
Yes.
Chelsea?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
And Jeff is a yes. Motion passes 6-0-0.
Move to accept the Maya Health Benefits Trust monthly contribution renewal rates for the plan year July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022, recommended.
So moved.
I second.
Any questions on the contribution rates?
Mr. Chairman, this is Mr. Presnell. Amy, if you would, Maya submitted 4 different contribution rate proposals here, depending on which plans we were adopting or not adopting. So I think the last page of this would have that right there. Yes. So that's the arrangement that you're voting on, which includes the additional savings realized by adding the vision care plan.
Thank you.
That's the value plus listed though, right? Didn't we just?
We eliminated the Blue Care Elect Value Plus plan. So
Yep.
the PPO Value Plus plan was what was eliminated in that previous vote.
Thank you.
Any last questions on this item? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote, starting with Pam,
Yes.
Chelsea,
Yes.
Ted,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
and Jeff is a yes. Motion passes 6-0-0.
Move to approve the memorandum of agreement between the Southwick Talent Granville Regional School Committee and the Southwick Talent Granville Education Association Incorporated. The agreement, which outlines the terms associated with a return to 5-day in-person learning beginning on April 5th, 2021, recommended.
So moved.
I second.
Any questions on the MOA with the association? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Pam,
Yes.
Chelsea,
Yes.
Ted,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
and Jeff is a yes. Motion passes 6-0-0.
Move to approve the Southwick Regional School participation in spring athletics for the 2021 season with adherence to all PVIAC and MIAA guidelines related to the COVID-19 protocols, including individual sport modifications. The decision to participate in practices and competitions will be at the discretion of the superintendent in consultation with the Southwick Regional School. Recommended.
So moved.
I second.
Questions on approving the spring sports?
Do we expect a wrestling approval here?
I have not heard of anything yet on wrestling.
Yeah, there's the MIAA is currently still waiting for EEA approval with wrestling. They've even gone so far as suggesting that maybe wrestling could be held outdoors somehow. But officially, we have not heard anything. We're still waiting.
We lost you, Dave.
As of now, nothing official on wrestling with EEA approval.
And wrestling is typically a winter sport, so I would bring it to the committee for discussion.
Right. And did I hear correctly that we are now allowing viewers at home games and meets?
So yes, the answer to that is we are allowing the parents and siblings to attend at school meets, only for home games. No visiting parents.
And how is that monitored? Do they have to provide ID or anything like that? How does that work?
They had to purchase, Dave, if you want to take this, you can. They had to purchase like a season ticket, and they just show that when they get to the game.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
Also, the bleachers are marked for the parents to sit.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions on spring sports? All right, hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Pam?
Yes.
Chelsea?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Ryan? Ryan?
Yes.
And Jeff is a yes. Motion passes 6-0-0.
Move to approve the 2021 school year pause PTO fundraiser. You've been egged, recommended.
So moved.
I second.
Any questions on this fundraiser?
Yeah, what is it?
I went to the meeting. It's kind of like when they used to put the flamingos in people's yards, except it's going to be eggs and the sign will have some type of bird on it. So it's not like Easter looking.
Oh, thanks for clarifying. I was thinking it's a little close to Easter for Easter things. Okay.
Any other questions on this fundraiser? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Pam?
Yes.
Chelsea?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
And Jeff is a yes. Motion passes 6-0-0. Okay, moving on to reports. First, Superintendent Willard.
Thank you, Chairman Houle. So I think one of the most important things to report out on today is we met with the Safety Committee last Friday to go over the new guidelines that have been sent out by the CDC and the Massachusetts Department of Public Health. And we are updating our COVID protocols. We were in consultation with our Board of Health, our public health nurse, and our nurse, our lead nurse. And just a quick overview is the key changes is a 10-day quarantine period for positives. Non-household close contacts can now test out of quarantine period. They must wait the 5 to 7 days to get a test, but if it is negative, then they can return. If you have any questions about anything that I'm talking about today, your school nurses are your resource to go to. A big one is siblings and family members may now stay in school unless they are symptomatic or identified as a close contact. They don't need to leave because one of their family members is sick, symptomatic, or a close contact, only if that family member tests positive. We are going to be following the mass travel advisory now, which replaces the travel order. And the district will only accept PCR test results. We're not accepting the rapid tests. But very important things that are not changing. Masks are required. We need to make that very clear that although you may be vaccinated, it is not a substitute for mask wearing. We have to social distance whenever possible. And household close contacts still have to stay home for that 10+14. It is a long document. I tried to give you a brief overview of the changes, but again, if you have any specific questions regarding your situation, your best action is to call the school nurse at the school that your children attend. And the one other thing I just want to report out on, which is going to be a big shift for mostly up at the regional school. When we were doing hybrid, sometimes students would float in between in-person and remote. And once you start back to full in-person, there is no more hybrid. So you are either in person at the regional school or you are full remote. So you need to be in the school building to be counted as present unless you have a school approved quarantine. And at that time, the school will put you in a remote setting. But all students, if you are in person, must come to school unless the school has put you in a quarantine or into a remote setting. That is a big shift for a lot of our students out there. So I need to make that very, very clear. you need to be in person for 7 through 12 as of April 26th. And that's all I have tonight, Chairman Houle.
Any questions for the superintendent? Okay, up next is the Director of Finance and Operations.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to mention a few things tonight, not a real report, but at the next school committee meeting, we will be asking the committee for approval to move forward with renewal of our property and liability and workers' compensation insurance, also with Maya. So that'll be on the next agenda. We did finally have our FY20 financial statement audit report issued by Powers and Sullivan, our auditors, and we have filed the documents with the Federal Audit Clearinghouse system, so that is all resolved. I have hard copy reports of the audit for both the basic financial statements and the reports on federal financial assistance. I can mail those to the committee members, or if you'd like, I can just have a copy available at the office if at some point in the future you want to pick them up. I know that I'm sure the finance subcommittee members would probably want a copy of this, but the others maybe not so much. We can schedule someone from Powers and Sullivan, the new partner, to do an overview of the audit and maybe point some things out to the committee at a future meeting if you would like that as well. We are taking bids tomorrow on the sale of notes for our FY21 borrowing plan. It's a $135,000 note that will be hopefully get some competitive bids on that. And we are getting some interest in the one more audit related question issue, the end of year report that DESE requires an independent audit to take place. That was completed last week. We're awaiting the actual report. There were two findings, both which were corrected through filing an amendment with DESE to correct the findings. So essentially, when all is said and done, no actual findings with our end of year report filing. And I think that should cover it. Yeah.
Steve?
Yes, Ted.
Could I pick that report up now?
Yes, they're actually sitting on a chair in my office. I think Amy could probably guide you to them. It's in
okay, thank you.
Blue spiral bound, and there's two separate reports there.
Yeah, okay.
Very good.
Any questions for Mr. Fresno?
Oh, I know what I wanted to mention, Mr. Chairman. We are getting some interest in the surplus vehicles that we're trying to sell. So we showed the vehicles to somebody this morning. We've got several other people planning to come and visit them, and some folks who have already taken a look. So should be able to get some value for those vehicles. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Okay, moving on to subcommittees and liaisons. Negotiations, anybody have anything for negotiations? With the finance subcommittee, when is our next regularly scheduled meeting?
Searching for that now. April 13th, Tuesday, April 13th.
Okay. John and Ted, you're good for that date?
Yep.
What's the time?
9 a.m.
Okay. Yeah, it should be fine.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. LPVEC Board of Directors. Pam?
We met last week. A few things to report out. As you probably know, there's been a large building project going on there to accommodate a new special education program that's being added, the Twain Elementary program. And this is the social emotional program for younger students that I mentioned a while back. So this is 2 large classrooms with 2 safe rooms attached to it. And we're nearing project completion with that, and those rooms will be up and operational shortly. And we'll be starting with students this fall, I believe, in that new program. You probably remember from when we operated our own buses. We're always in need of drivers. So if anybody knows anybody who is interested in driving buses, have them reach out to LPVEC. And then the last thing that I just wanted to mention was the Skills USA district competition that was held on March 9th in the Career Tech Gymnasium. This is a competition where many different area Voc schools compete in different areas, and 40 career tech students competed in this. 19 of our students were awarded medals, and 2 of those students were from Southwick. So I just wanted to take a minute to recognize Emma Cronin in the early childhood program, and Cassandra Lorem in medical math. Both received.
Oh, we lost you, Pam. All right, well, her connection comes back. LPVEC Board of Governors met, I believe, right before Pam's meeting. Pam stole my thunder. There was only 2 things we discussed that night. One was an update on the capital project, which she eloquently spoke about. And the second thing we reviewed was the balance sheet for the whole corporation, showing what the assets are and debt payments due and the income that is coming in. And I'm happy to report it's in good shape. All right, policy subcommittee. Chelsea, do you have anything else you'd like to add this evening for policies?
We have a couple things brewing, but nothing yet, but we're hoping to bring some more to us for the next meeting, I think.
Okay. Buildings and grounds, as Steve alluded to this evening, we did meet last week. We discussed energy assessments and this community energy consortium that the town of Southwick has asked us to take a look at. We discussed potential capital projects, and then we kind of discussed the sidewalk project in detail and figured out a path to move forward with. That was it for buildings and grounds. Any update on athletics, John?
No, other than just what we worked on for the spring or voted on for the spring tonight. I don't think there's anything additional that I can think of.
Okay. About the ILT members, any report out for ILT?
We have a meeting coming up. It might be next week.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't believe we've met since our last meeting, and I think it is next week.
Okay. Any other subcommittee or liaison that would like to report out at this time? Hearing none, let's move on to our second public comment. Amy, if you'd be so kind to check the superintendent account.
I have checked the account and there are no public comments.
All right, moving on to committee discussion. Any old or new business tonight? All right, hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I second.
Roll call vote. Pam?
Yes.
Sophie?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Yes.
And Jeff is a yes. Thank you very much, folks, and have a great